Hi, my name's Matt Widgery from mattwidgery.com. Now, in today's episode, we're going to be having a look in depth at the Sigma 17-50. Let me have a look around the lens. I'm actually recording this on here. So it's a 17 to 50mm 2.8 EX DC OS HSM. That's the one we did the unboxing video of the other day and had a look at the build quality. And from that, the thing that I took out of that, and I hope you did too, is it was pretty good actually. It was pretty solid. It wasn't as well built as something like the big solid 1980s all metal 80 to 200 2.8 that I've got, but it really wasn't bad either. Now, I had actually for this video, I was originally planned, I went out and I did a couple of test shoots with it, and I kind of did some very tedious shots of leaves and of fences and brick walls and writing and stuff like that. It was thunderously dull, the pictures were boring, and frankly it wasn't information that you couldn't get in other places. So I junked all that, and instead what we're going to have a look at, and what is actually up on the screen here now, is a picture that I took at a gig from a band called Intercity Crazy Train, who are a brilliant punk band and very fast-moving, leapy-abousy, bouncy band at a venue called the Portland Arms in Cambridge. They were on about a week ago, and I took this lens to take pictures of them because I wanted to do a real-world test with this lens to see exactly how it would perform on the type of cameras that, frankly, most people have. So I didn't take the big professional D300. I took a consumer-level camera. This is the D5100. Actually, again, it's the one that I'm filming this on here. You can see from the metadata stuff on the right-hand side of the screen here that you've got we really pushed this camera to the limit. The Nikon D5100 at 3200 ISO really is pushing it. It's as much as you're ever going to get out of that before the image starts to fall apart. Where at the widest aperture that the lens can do, which is f2.8, and I was at 100th of a second, which was, I can't really get any. Even there, you can see on the hand there in the middle of the screen. Yeah, you can see that he's a little bit blurry where he's playing the guitar, but the guy mainly, this guy, I wanted him to be in focus and sharp because, I didn't want him, didn't want any motion blur on that dude because he was leaping about and playing the ukulele and it looked great. So this is the type of shot that most people would be buying a lens like this to try and do, and that's to capture something in low light that was moving quickly, and it's the sort of thing that you'd really struggle with your kit lens to do. And the reason is this: with your 18 to 55 kit lens from Nikon, Canon, whatever, even at 3.5, then that is half the amount of light coming into it than this lens has got at 2.8. So when it's zoomed right out, because on those, if you're 18mm, you get f3.5, but on those lenses, when you zoom into 55mm, you only get f5.6, and that is that's a quarter of the amount of light that this lens is able to get in. So you can then see that, at 3200 ISO, there's no, you're then down to a 25th of a second, and you have got no chance of getting these guys who are leaping about a lot all over the stage to be able to, get that image. So right out of the bat, the lens has enabled us to achieve something that we couldn't have done with the kit lens. And I paid 260 quid, including shipping, for this. So if you wanted to step up and get something like this, which really does allow you to make pictures that you can't do with the kit lens, this is a great place to start. In terms of how sharp it is and stuff, well, let's have a look. The focus was this dude, so we can have a look here. I was using the autofocus matrix system that's on the D5100, and it's pretty good. I mean, you can see that it's not the crispiness, on the leading eye, which is a bit disappointing. I think some of that might be focusing. I think some of it is just because it is high ISO. Because you can see, I would say actually the focus is probably closer to the left-hand eye as you see it there, and on the microphone stand. So I've missed focus on this leading eye, which is a bit disappointing. But nevertheless, if you look at the bits which are in focus, at 3200 ISO, this is razor sharp. I mean, look at this along here, where the microphone stand is. I don't know if you can actually pick up my mouse movements here. I don't think you can actually with encoder. But anyway, it's razor sharp. I have allowed his white t-shirt to blow out. I wasn't that concerned about that. If you have a look into the side of the picture here, you can see there is a little bit of chromatic aberration around the top of the symbol there, and on as it starts to blur out into the unfocused bits of the picture, little bits of chromatic aberration, you know, around the top of the microphone cable here for the drummer. Very, very slight though. I mean, this is 100% crop, don't forget. So, you know, there's no way when you're looking at the picture like that you would see anything other than a sharp image. If you have a look at this dude over on this side, obviously at 2.8, he's going to be soft, but that's okay. I wanted just the shape of him dancing away with his ukulele to be in the background and the focus to be on the singer as he sings. So, you know, I'm not so worried about that. But what is interesting is that around his outline, there's very little in terms of, you know, chromatic aberration or anything like that. Now, if you look into the corners, I mean, this is, you know, really, you know, pixel peaking, and I don't agree with that necessarily. I don't think it is that helpful, but you can see there's tiny little bits of softness that you don't get in the middle of the image. But look at the image. I don't care about that. Who really does? I mean, if you want to go and look on DxOMark and have a look at the stripy pictures or the toy monkey with the symbols, go and have a look at those images, and they'll tell you all you need to know about where the lens is sharpest and what have you. I just personally think that, you know, for a real world picture that, you know, any of us might want to go and take, with a D5100 at ISO 3200 at f2.8, I think that is a beltingly sharp image. So, you know, my recommendation would be to go and buy this lens. Do it immediately if you've already got the kit lens and you wanted to go for something that's a bit more pro. What are the other options for you? Well, you could go for the Tamron one. It's about the same money. You don't get the ultrasonic, very quiet motor with that. It's a slightly noisier motor, and you don't get optical stabilization. The focus is not quite as fast, but it's a really, really good and sharp lens. On some of the, when you're zoomed in, it's, you know, the optics are good. They're perfectly good, and you'd be perfectly happy with that lens, frankly. I went for this one because it's got the optical stabilization, and that's important because I use it for doing video with. You know, for doing stills, really, you can handheld most stuff. When you're at 17mm, you don't need to have a very fast shutter speed to, you know, not get motion blur. It's not like you've got a telephoto that's, you know, wobbling around. So I wasn't so bothered about it for stills. The ultrasonic motor, or hypersonic motor, Sigma call it, is a good thing, frankly, because it's quieter. So if you're shooting in quiet areas, that's good. But otherwise, it's brilliant. The other things you could do are buy the 17 to 55 things that Nikon and Canon make, but they're twice as much money. Marginal improvements in image quality, it has to be said, but I wouldn't say necessarily, if you haven't got a lot of money, that it's worth spending the extra money to get that marginal increase in performance. That's just my 2 cents. If you think differently or you've got experience with any of these lenses, drop us a comment below. Please like this video, it really helps me, and subscribe using the button there. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Cheers.
If you liked that video, click on these videos. You may well like them too. Cheers.